This compressor from local motorbike shop, and you can see it's pretty bare bones. It's got a cable here with a standard SAE connection on the side, on the end side, and quite a long cable. The lead that it came with for connecting directly to the battery is quite low gauge and doesn't have a fuse, so we won't be using that. This set of crocodile clips here with the SAE connector to quickly connect to the battery isn't convenient, and these are bulky, so we're getting rid of those. I instead purchased a ready-made lead rather than making it, to allow me to connect this straight to the battery. It's a more substantial lead, and it comes with a fuse holder. I think if I remember rightly reading the instructions for this pump, which comes from Rocky Creek Designs, they recommend using it with a 15 amp fuse. So that cable is good to go. This connector's is water resistant. It's got a rubber housing on it, and the positive is has some braiding on it to help reduce the chance of it chafing and shorting on the chassis or somewhere else. So the purpose of today's video is to show you how we're going to connect this SAE connector to the bike, and how we're going to stow this on the bike to allow you to, or allow me to, use this compressor while I'm on the road, either for re-inflating tyres if I've been in sand or whatever, or after I change a tube or repair a flat of some kind of puncture. One thing to consider with having a compressor while you're on the road is that you want it to be convenient to use. The compressor, often people will just crocodile clip it onto the battery, or they'll store this under the saddle out of the way. That's kind of cool if you're just about and around in town and stuff, but if you've got luggage across your bike seat, it's going to make it hard to access this connector. So one thing to consider when you're putting this connection in is to stow it so that you don't have to lift the seat off the bike to use this, because in many instances you'll need to take the luggage off your bike to be able to do that, certainly on my two bikes. Okay, first things first, let's expose the battery and where we're going to make the connections. So get rid of this out of the way, saddle off, put it, key back in the ignition. Don't leave it in the lock for the saddle, because it's easy to catch it with your leg or something like that and set the key, and that's a pain. Okay, we're going to install this on the near side, i.e. passenger side in the car, side closest to the curb in Australia and the UK, so that we don't have to stand with our back to the road if ever we have to connect this on the road. So we'll be installing it on the left hand side of the bike. That was a long way of saying we're going to install this on the left hand side of the bike. Bear with me. We need to find a way of getting this connector down to the left hand side of the bike and getting the positive and negative connected to the battery. If I just move this loom out of the way, which is quite tight, and there's quite a bit of stuff going on in my bike now. So that reminds me, if you haven't seen it, go look at the USB wiring install video, then you'll know why there's quite a bit going on my bike. Okay, so we're going to take this rubber thing off to make it easier for us to get the cable through various nooks and crannies around the engine to where we want it. We can put this on afterwards. Capiche? You might be wondering why loosening or taking more panels off and loosening the tank. It's so that I can explore the best option for getting the cable through to where I need it. There is an existing loom in here that I can use to route the cable over and down. It makes it really easy for me to run the cable around. Okay, so what I've decided to do, given that I'm just experimenting with running the cable through, I am going to follow the existing loom, but I'm going to undo this cable tie here, and then I'm going to route my new cables just below the existing loom. But what I'll do is, I am paranoid about chafing, etc., so I'm going to wrap these cables, this new cable connector, I'm going to wrap the part of the loom in fabric tape so that I can reduce the chance of it chafing. Okay, so I've got the main loom out of the way now, so that makes it a lot easier for me to route my cable through. The first thing I need to do is get it through here, and then once it's through here I'm going to have to push it round to follow the existing loom over the top of the tank, so it's pretty hard for you to see. Really not keen on the way the Enfield wiring almost seems to be thrown into the bike. See, I'm trying to stuff this through. I didn't realise what a hard gig doing videos are to show you guys in such a confined space. Just putting the rubber grommet back on the connector. I put it on wrong there. I don't know if you saw, I put it on backwards the first time, don't tell anyone. I'm going to work backwards from where I want the loom located, and then stow all the spare cable as I go. Giant container of cable ties. There's one more across in the middle here on the loom, and then we'll go around the other side. Going to connect in these now, the two battery terminals. It's actually easier to do this with a Phillips screwdriver. Positive side's not as easy because you got to deal with the cap and route the cable around the cap. There's quite a bit of spare on this cable. Now I'm also not following my own advice here. It's really, when you're working on the positive, you should keep the negative disconnected, so that if you short screwdriver, socket set or something else to the chassis, it doesn't cause an arc. I'm just going to try and be very careful. I'll probably end up eating my own words. I did put my hand between the screwdriver and the fuel tank just in case it did touch it. I don't want that to be captured on YouTube. Right, before we box everything up, I'm just going to test the connection. Okay, just a quick test without the engine running. Really, when you're using this compressor, you should have the engine running because it draws a lot of current. But I just want to make sure that the connection I've made is correct. There we go, that's enough. I'm going to be doing the same on my KTM, which is just outside there. I'll bring that in a minute and show you guys. I won't go through the whole process, but I'll show you guys how I decided to locate the loom. Next up, before I put the tank back and the saddle, I just want to make sure the saddle or the seat sits correctly on the catch anything. You can actually see that it's completely clear there. Okay, so we'll put the tank back. So that's the two 10mm screws. I'm going to make sure that these cup washers are in place. When you, after you've done this, that, or as you do this, that the screws don't catch on the wiring anywhere. That's not only your own wiring, but also the original wiring. If you look at my quality issues video, you'll see there's quite a few places on the little Enfields, probably the same on the Scram and the Himalayan, the wiring is able to chafe. The wrong one, that's not cool. Alright, last thing to do is put the side panels back and then put the saddle back, and then I'll wheel the KTM in and show you that. So hang fire. See, I'm struggling with this one. Enfield. So when the connector's not in use, it's just going to be stashed and shoved in that gap there, out the way. And when I need it, just take it out, plug the compressor in, easy. Righto, so we're going to repeat what we did on the Hemi on this 390. This 390 actually has a cable already fitted, but we need to fit it in a position that's more suited should there be luggage on the back, so that we can get access to the cable easily on the road without propping the seat open. So first thing first, let's get the seat open so we can see the cable. So you can see on the 390 it's the same cable but a different brand. So this is more a case of just routing the cable into a decent position rather than going through everything I went through with the Hemi. I don't know if I mentioned before, but I took the fuse out while I'm doing this so that I don't have to disconnect it from the battery while I'm trying to push the cable through to a better position. I think I've found a route through the through all the panels and stuff that I might be able to use without actually removing any panels, which will be handy. I had this through a few minutes ago, but now it's proving to be a struggle. Oh no, there we go. Through that. Pull this out. Okay, my memory card filled up and I didn't realise, so you probably missed all the excitement of me running this cable in. Anyway, so the cable, I managed to run it down here between the airbox and the existing loom, and then I pulled the side panel out slightly and I was able to get it between the airbox and the frame down to the other side out here, which I will show you just out of shot, so I'll come around here and show you the route in a second. And then underneath the bracket above the battery there comes out here, which I will now find a location to secure with a cable tie, and I'll put the rubber grommet back. Okay, awesome, so it's cable tied to the frame there, so I don't need to use it. I can stow it in here out the way, and when I need it I can just pull it out here like this. Easy. That's an awesome place to keep it